Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Grow with Shea podcast. Today, I am joined by the beautiful, amazing, incredible Marye. I always think of you like in your handle name, Marye in Motion. She's here with us today. And she has such an incredible story. And you were one of the first people when I joined the waiting table who was really interactive. And so I feel like I've gotten to know you more through that setting. So I'm excited to have more like one-on-one time with you today. And we're going to just start chatting, but I think potentially where our conversation might go is around authenticity, how to be more authentic, the risk that it takes to be more authentic. And so with that, welcome, Marye. Why don't you tell our friends a little bit about you?
Hey, thanks. Well, I guess I'll start off by saying that I am 56 years old. My husband and I have sold our home and everything, and we are now living halfway across the country in an RV and working seasonally in West Glacier, Montana. We're getting ready to go to Arizona. Uh,
Wow.
that's that's an announcement. We're going to be in Welton, Arizona this winter. And on our way down, we're going to go down the Oregon coast.
Yay! You need to,
So,
if your travels bring you to Medford, you know to reach out. I would love to meet you in person.
well, I will look at our itinerary and I will see if I can squeeze that in because I would love to be able to see you.
Perfect.
That
Or if you're going to be on the coast, we go, I mean, that's pretty easy for us to get over that way. So depending on where it falls, that would be so fun. So even if you guys are just over at the coast and we could come meet you for lunch or something, that would be fun.
okay. Well, I'll shoot you a line and let you know how we're
Perfect.
laying it all out. We finish up here the 3rd
Okay.
of next month, so we'll be heading down after that.
Awesome.
But I mean, our life has definitely changed in the last 6 months. With a lot of intent. I mean, we decided that we wanted to do some things differently, but in the last 4 or 5 years, I'd kind of gotten away from doing the things that I knew I needed to do to take care of myself. I got very distracted with trying to run a restaurant during COVID, and so recently, in the last 3 years, I've been trying to get back on track, and I found this, and I didn't have a support group. I hadn't had a support group since probably 2015 and have just kind of been out there floundering. And so I found this incredible support group on Instagram and found Murph and then the podcast, and then you came in, and I've just really enjoyed getting to know you because to me, I mean, I know you're many years younger than me. You were talking about your 10-year high school reunion. And I'm like, yeah, I remember. I didn't go to mine, but I remember my husband and I were engaged when it came around, and now, yeah, we've been married for 28 years, so
That's
it's a
amazing.
few years ago. But I've just really enjoyed watching you and other people, but primarily you, just being so real and so, yourself, and being, I mean, just it's freeing. And I've kind of felt like I'm in this, you have to present yourself in a certain way. That's the way I was raised. And so to see people like make mistakes or do things that are goofy, and I'm like, I want to be that way. I want to be able to do that. I want to let go and be that free, and I feel like I'm working on it, but then still what I present forward on social media, definitely I kind of feel like I've filtered it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and not to mention too, this is a part I'm going to add in on your behalf. You're like an OG weight loss surgery baddie. Like, how long has it? That's incredible. So when I always think of you, I always think of like, man, she's like the veteran, one of the people who's like forged the way. So people like me who are more of the newbies coming in, you're part of the reason why it's easier to share stuff like that because you were part of the group that started normalizing weight loss surgery and talking about it. And so that was something I just wanted to add in as a part of your story, because even though that's not our whole identities, and for you, it's a bit more removed because it's been longer for you. I guess I don't know that though for sure. Do you feel like that part isn't as big of your identity anymore? Or like, does that make sense what I'm
I
asking?
honestly, I think it's a lot bigger part of my identity than maybe it was
Cool.
7 years ago,
Okay.
because I know that when I'm interacting with people, meeting new people, which I've obviously met a whole lot of new people in this new environment. I mean, I pretty much let them know I'm a bariatric patient. I mean, that's a part of who I am. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a bariatric patient. That's kind of like the top three.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of cats. So,
Yes, I love it. I love it. Cat identity is a strong one to have. I love it.
oh, yes, it definitely bonds you with people.
Yeah, yeah. That's so cool. See, and for me, like I feel like the longer that it goes from having my surgery, it's like that will always be a big part of my like story and my life and my experience. But I feel like now my focus is just a bit different than like right after surgery. So maybe that's why where it just feels a bit different. So it's cool to hear a kind of a different perspective in that way of like you didn't have a lot of community starting out. And then it's like you come across these people who have this like very big shared life experience and it's offered more like connection to that. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it really is. And I look up to all of what you call newbies that are, you know, 2, 3, 4 years out, because I didn't do all of that. I mean, like back then there was still kind of a stigma
Right.
when I was a couple of years out. Like the first year there was a support group, and then that fell apart. And the people that I knew from the support group, if I didn't know them ahead of time,
Hmm.
because I did have like one friend who had the surgery before me, and I had another friend who had the surgery after me. I really didn't stay in touch with any of those people.
Hmm.
And the other two people I know have had a lot of struggles with weight gain, which I did too. I had regained, just that was kind of all kept, like you didn't talk about it on Facebook, you didn't talk about it on Instagram. And and when I was trying to kind of refresh my life or whatever. And I started looking around on Instagram, which Instagram wasn't around, mind you, when I had my surgery. And Facebook, I hate to say this and sound terrible, but there's a lot of negativity. You get into
Hmm.
a bariatric group, and they're all bashing you for, you ate what? And you drank with a straw, and so I mean, that I just didn't like that negativity. But I found on Instagram this whole little community where everybody was so supportive. And then I found a lot of people that were very athletic, and I was like, wow, they're like 6 weeks out from their surgery and they're going to the gym.
Yeah.
I was 8 years out from surgery before
Yeah.
I went to the gym.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm just really inspired by so many people that call themselves newbies. I'm like, oh, but you're so wise. You're so wise.
Thank you for saying that. I think that's why I love doing this podcast because it's like anybody's welcome. Like, I invite anybody who has had surgery, who hasn't had surgery on any walk of life. It doesn't matter how old you are, because there's so much that we can learn from each other. And I truly believe that. I learn so much from these conversations, not just in the moment when I'm having them, but when I go back and I edit, I get things that I was in the conversation and I still get new things listening to it back and editing. And so I think so much can be learned from people, no matter what walk of life they're on or experiences they've had. And I think what's cool is social media now is maybe it's a bit safer. I don't know if it's a bit safer. I guess for me, in my experience, I've felt safer and better showing up in more of an authentic and real way. It's been worth the risk of being ridiculed or made fun of or fill in the blank with whatever. Because the people that have really helped me have shown up in that way. And so when we talk about like authenticity and especially like in regards to social media, like what does that look like to you? What does that mean to like show up authentically? Or it doesn't have to be on social media, just in life in general.
Well, I feel like in my life in general, I'm very authentic.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I are very snarky, and we like if people when they're around us and we're kind of batting back and forth and doing our little thing, which mind you, we do that not as a show. We're like that in real,
Yeah.
like we are. I mean, we'll be at home making comments to each other all the time.
Yeah.
But we're kind of, I mean, we're kind of full of ourselves, and we're silly, and we're being goofy, and then I get ready to put something, like whether it's my bariatric stuff or my RV stuff, it's very curated. It's like, well, I
Uh-huh.
got to put this. I can't put the fact that I dropped that weight and almost broke my toe or something, or I tripped walking down the trail. 20 times we counted. 20
Oh
times I
my gosh.
tripped.
See, I would
Like,
love to see a video of that. I would be cracking up.
oh, my husband loves it. And I mean, that's his favorite thing, because he counts, and he said, we're going into double digits next time, because I'm constantly stumbling when I'm walking. So, but yeah, and I don't know why it's like I can't stick that out there or something. It's like, and I trust, and I feel really comfortable in the community I'm in.
Yeah.
I've not had anybody say anything nasty to me. I think it's just growing up. I can remember things like in elementary school, this little girl and I walked home in the rain, and we were just soaking wet. And of course, this was like second grade, and we lived 2 blocks from the school, and it was nothing for you to, like, you didn't get picked up by your parents or your grandparents or what. And we had walked home in the pouring down rain. We didn't have galoshes, we didn't have raincoats or umbrellas, and we were both just soaking wet, and we were sobbing, and I'm like ugly crying, and she's got like a little tear trickling down her cheek, and my grandmother said, why can't you cry like Paula? And that just like stuck with me, like, you weren't supposed to make a big show, you weren't supposed to be, and just little things like that throughout my life, that I kind of, I got the idea I'm not supposed to do that. You can't talk about that in public. I can remember I got my first tattoo when I was like probably 20, 21. My mom didn't find out about it until I was pregnant with my daughter at 30.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, how could you have ruined your body like this? And I'm like, I like it. I got it because I like it. Of course, I have a lot of tattoos now.
Yeah.
After the first one broke the ice, I'm like, well, I got it. So here. And the same thing with the hair, it'd be like, oh, that's really interesting. Why did you choose that color? You
Mm.
know, because I like it, because
Yeah.
that's, you know,
Because
but,
Mary's a freaking badass. That's why she chose it.
and I first started doing my hair, like, this is not she's 50 and midlife crisis. I'm talking 18 years old, freshman in college. I was an art major, and we were dyeing our hair with Indian ink in the
Yes.
studio, so it's been a lifelong thing. But I've always been, like, oh, you don't need to do that. That's not how we present ourselves.
Well,
So
all those little things, they add up to big things, and in both ways of the comments we heard, like that of you're not good enough, you're not doing it right, like whether it was coming from like our family of origin or from society of like, you have to show up in a certain way as a woman, you have to do things this way, you can't be too much like this, but you have to just be enough like this. And it's like all of those pressures over time add up, and it's a lot to try to decipher, like, what do I actually feel or think in the midst of that? Because I think for so long we're told all these things of how to think, how to feel, how to show up. I think that's why it's so hard to be authentic, because it's like we haven't, many of us haven't had that time and space to really think about, what do I like? What do I want? What is important to me? And it sounds like for you, like you've been in a season of that. You've made some huge life changing decisions that I'm sure I guess I'd imagine you've probably heard all types of comments, whether positive or negative, about, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that, to wow, that's really cool, and everything in between. And how has that process kind of folded in? Like, do you feel like this has been like a really pivotal moment, just doing something because you want to do it? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that some of the first messages that we got were, oh my gosh, aren't you scared? I mean, how are you going to be able to pay your bills? And well, what if, what about this treasured object? And what are you going to do about that? Or, I mean, it was just a lot of really questioning why I'm doing this. And then, when I would kind of just lightheartedly go, well, I mean, this is just what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, we're just going to try it for a couple of years. It's not the end of the world. If it doesn't work out, we'll just get a house. But I mean, I don't even know where I want that. When I do get a house, I'm sure I'm going to get one day. I mean, it's too soon to say.
Yeah.
But then I started getting from a lot of friends, I'm really jealous. I wish I could do that. I'm like, oh, but you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can. You just have to be willing to let go of everything, you know.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from, is it comes from fear and like envy and kind of a victim mentality. And I say this in like a loving way because I recognize it a lot in myself, but it's like, I just felt like a victim a lot of times. And I use my bariatric surgery as kind of like a pre-Shea, post-Shea, because it's like that was, I feel like, the catalyst for me to where I grew and learned a lot of these things. But like before surgery, I was in a victim mentality a lot of like, why can't people treat me differently? Why, am I in this situation? Why can't I have kids? Why, all these questions where I was just in a very like victimizing state and mentality. And it's how that presented, and for me, was when I would see people doing the things that I really deep down wanted to do, but I was too afraid or felt like I couldn't do them. It would come out in comments like that, of trying to be like nitpicky, or like, or even like that comment that you said your grandma made, like, why can't you cry prettier or whatever. It was really coming from deep insecurity of myself, and I was just projecting that. And so that's something I'm still working on, where as humans, when we have big emotions that happen, that's super normal to have those. And a lot of what we've been taught is, when we get those emotions, to do whatever we can to like not actually have them. And so, well, what that ends up being is we project that onto other people and make it about them when it's really about us. And so I could see that, of like people, like you're saying, like at first being like, you're crazy, why would you ever do that? And it probably is coming from a deep insecurity or longing of, man, that sounds so freeing and nice, I wish I could do that. And I love your response back of like, well, you can. Nobody's like forcing you not to do it. Does it take sacrifice or giving up things, rearranging stuff, a lot of work? I know there was so much prep work that I just heard bits and pieces of from you. Everything takes sacrifice, and we get to be the ones to choose what that is. And you just made that choice.
Right. And it wasn't taken lightheartedly. I wish that I could say my bariatric surgery was my turning point. I think it may have kind of turned me in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but it was probably owning a restaurant and being told by the city that you can't have your doors open, you can't serve food, and not knowing how we're going to pay our employees, how we're going to pay our bills, how are we going to survive, actually was freeing for us, because we started getting really innovative in how we were going to pull this off and pull that off. And then I guess realizing, hey, we've got what it takes. We don't have to live this way like everybody else says you're supposed to live. And then we had one of our managers, young kid, same age as our daughter, he went off and started working actually in West Glacier for a different company, and came back and told us all about it. And we started listening. We're like, this is a whole, I mean, he wasn't an RV guy, but they provide housing for these seasonal jobs. And we started listening to all these stories that he was telling. And then he would go off for another season and come back. And we were like, a lot of young people do this, but also a lot of other people do this too. There's people in their 30s and 40s and definitely in their 50s doing this. We could do this. Our son was still living at home, and we were like, well, you're going to have to move out because we're selling the house.
Yeah.
and our daughter was already out. And so when my dad passed away, my son moved in with my mom to kind of help her out. And it was just the perfect opportunity. So we were like, bye, see you later.
That's so cool. So what does like a typical day look like? Just so like because people who maybe haven't followed your story or kind of know what you're doing, where you're at, could you give kind of like just a bigger picture of what you do to make this lifestyle work and what a typical day looks like? And I know every day is different, I'd imagine, even what like yesterday looked like for you.
Well, okay, so we're in a very small RV. There are huge RVs that you could probably put 2 of ours inside of. Mm-hmm. And ours is a Winnebago, and we drive it. It's not a tow behind fifth wheel or anything. And it's small, and there's just the 2 of us. So it's a little cramped. And when you add 4 cats into the situation, it becomes even more cramped. But we don't spend a lot of our day in the RV. I mean, we're usually just here in the evening. We've got Wi-Fi, and we can watch movies, and we stream whatever. And so we're living in an RV park with a variety of different sized RVs and people that are all working seasonally. Mm-hmm. And so nobody works like a 9-to-5 job. You don't go in Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Your days off, like today is my day off. Mm-hmm. Your days off are always different from just, I guess, normal society. And it's a hospitality industry, so you're going to work holidays and weekends. But even if you're not in an RV, you're going to get up, you're going to go to work, and you could do any kind of work. I mean, you could work retail, you could work housekeeping, they have administrators, they have accountants, they have managers. My husband's a chef at one of the restaurants. Here's the other cool thing about it is they go, oh, well, he's got a job. We want your wife to work for us too. Let's find her a job. And so a lot of people that are married, both people work for the same company. They give us the same days off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're able to be off on, it's not like I'm going to be off on Thursday and Friday, and then he's going to be off on Monday and Tuesday. Mm-hmm. We're off together. So we're able to do things together. But whether you have an RV or not, they provide housing, and the company that we work for, your housing is 100% free. Wow. And so your electricity, your water, and all of that's free. You have a roommate, and if you don't have a spouse, and you have to buy your own food. Mm-hmm. and cook for yourself. On the other side, on the east side, they have a cafeteria for the employees, so they don't have to do their food, but they pay us a little bit more since we have to buy our own food. Now, some of the other companies, I think you have to pay rent, but so you're making a commitment for 5 or 6 months to work and it doesn't have to necessarily be in a national park. We just happen to be in a national park. The job that we have for the winter is going to be at a family-owned date farm.
Oh, wow.
And they have a brewery and a bistro. And they do a lot of events at that. So
I have to ask, are you and your husband going to have a lot of dates, like really romantic dates and like,
Well, so
that's my attempt of being punny.
No, I'm going to be really punny. Oh, they have naked date nights because the dates are naked dates because they're not, processed. So they call them naked date nights. Which
Wow. So
when I was telling somebody about that, they were like, "Wait, people are naked?" I'm like, "No, the dates are naked."
I love it. I think that should be your new like Instagram handle, or when you and your husband do your own podcast, I think you guys should be called the Naked Dates. Me, or like the Naked Dates in our 50s or something like that, where it's like something like that.
That'll attract an interesting crowd.
I know. Me, I will be the first one to listen to that. I would be the interesting crowd.
Love it. I could see us having a podcast. We would be bouncing off the walls.
I
Like, if
know.
you
When
think
you're,
it's crazy with Murph, like, I mean, it would be insane.
yeah,
It would be off. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Something to think about among your other adventures.
That would definitely be a fun one. I don't know if there are any RV like podcasts or anything, or
I would honestly just love to listen to you and your husband talk about, like I said, I'm just so interested in like what your day to day looks like, because I haven't let you get to that yet, but I bet it's very different than what my day to day looks like. So even just telling your stories and stuff, I think would be so interesting. Story Start is an online, self-paced course bundle that has over an hour of high-quality videos and an 18-page workbook that covers how to gather your goals and find your why behind sharing your story, share your story on short-form and long-form platforms, how to launch your story, and how to create a sustainable business while sharing your story. This is the course bundle I wish I would have had when launching into sharing my story publicly. Whether you're sharing your story to a large audience or just want to piece together your story for yourself, this course bundle will help you do this. Visit stan.store/growwithshea to get this self-paced course bundle today.
well, I drive. So on this side of the park, our company, there's housing that's all over. And so I pick up employees that don't have cars and take
Oh,
them to and
cool.
from work, take them to Walmart and the grocery store. We have a lot of what are called J1s that are kids that are coming in from other countries, take them to Social Security and help them out. So that's what I get to do. Now, some of the other drivers will actually drive guests around, but we don't do that on this side of the park. So I never really know what my day is going to be. I mean, yesterday was completely insane. Of course, West Glacier is pretty isolated, and it's about 30 minutes to get, or 20 or 30 minutes to get to a little smaller town where there's a grocery store. It's about 45 minutes to get into Kalispell where there's a Walmart. And I went to the grocery store, to the pharmacy, to pick up someone that lives way out in Martin City and into Kalispell yesterday. So, I mean, I was like on the road. And it always disappoints me when I don't get to lift and do anything heavy.
Yeah.
I was really excited when the burn ban went down and I got to haul firewood again. I was like, I didn't get a video of it, but
I know when you go to like Walmart and stuff, you just go and people will see you and they're just like picking up like, I don't know, big like office chairs and stuff and just walking around. You're like, I have to get my
I gotta lift weights. Yeah.
Or put some free weights in your car not when you're driving, but if you're waiting, you could just do some in the car.
Right. And the nice thing I really like the van and the bus that I drive, you have to step up to them. So I just, sometimes I'll just, like, if I'm waiting on somebody, I'll just open the door and I'll do step ups, and
I love it. That's perfect.
Oh, and the other thing is we don't cook inside the RV. I don't know if you saw that first video when I tried to cook and set off the smoke alarm.
Oh, I must have missed that. I didn't see that one.
That was when we were still in Mississippi. Oh yeah, that was a good one. I'm holding the camera and I'm like running outside with the alarm, trying to like get it to go off. But we have a griddle and we cook a lot of food outside, and we don't have a lot of storage, so our kitchen's really, really small. Mm-hmm. And so we try to kind of do stuff outside.
How has it been being outside? Like, has this been the most you've been outside, like in an extended amount of time, even when you had a house and were living like in one place?
Well, it was so hot in Mississippi. I mean, it'd be, 98 degrees. So, I mean, we would go outside, but we probably didn't live outside as much as we do now.
What has that been like?
It's so beautiful. I mean, like sometimes I'll just take my phone, we'll drive into work, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the clouds in the mountains. Look, and I'm like filming everything, and I'm like, it's just so beautiful. Everything is just so green. And now the leaves are already starting to change colors. And since the smoke has cleared out from the fires, it is just incredible. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that it's going to snow in the high altitudes before we leave, because I want to see some snow back on the mountains. I lived in the Pine Belt in Mississippi. It was green and it was beautiful there too, but I guess it's different. Even when the sun sets, it's not dark.
Uh-huh.
There's still like a light in the sky, and you can see the silhouettes of the mountains and the trees. And like I said, there's a river that runs not too far from where we're at, and it's just incredible, the nature. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we're living in the desert this winter. It's going to be so completely different.
Yes, yeah. And do you feel like your mood is different at all? How you feel like emotionally, I guess, and mentally, like, do you notice a difference? I bet it's kind of hard to compare it to before because you were so busy and probably stressed, like getting things prepared. But do you notice a difference kind of just in your general mood and emotional, mental well-being?
I'm less anxious. I'm more relaxed and more at ease. Now, when we first got here, I was super anxious because I, didn't know my way around, and my husband, he can figure out in his head how to get from one place to the other. And I am directionally challenged. So I was really anxious probably like the first week or two, but once I figured out how I could get to here to there, it's been great. And then once we started hiking, holy cow. I mean, it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you just never know what you're going to see. It's going to be something new and something different every day.
yeah, the reason I'm curious about it is like I've been reading more and just kind of hearing more stories about people who spend more time in nature. And it's like when you think of like how our society is designed, it's like we're living in cages, like in our and don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for like my house. I'm thankful I have security in that way and protection, and that I don't have to, you know, suffer in that way of being outside. But I think in that process, we've lost a lot of that, of even just like our natural, like circadian rhythms. And like, that's the other thing I was going to ask. Do you feel like your sleep is different?
Well, yeah, over the summer, the sun would set at like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
Now it's changed to about 8:30.
Uh-huh.
Not that it's pitch black at 8:30 though.
Right.
But then the sun was rising at like 5:30. And now at 6 o'clock it's still dark, or when we're getting up around 7, the sun's just starting to come up. So that definitely was a huge adjustment. We got blackout curtains to put up on our windows because I needed it to be nighttime.
Yeah, you were tired, I bet. Like that's a big adjustment. Not only like a new schedule, a new place, but just being in a new environment. Like I'd imagine there's a big adjustment period, and also just being more disconnected. Like you still have Wi-Fi, internet, you know, things like that that make you connected to that like technology world, you know, that we're a part of. But I'd imagine it's still a level of disconnection where you're at compared to like where you were before, and more of like a traditional style house of like, it's just different. In the beginning, did that feel kind of unsettling because we're used to being stimulated all the time, and then you're in an environment that's not that constant stimulation? Did that part kind of feel unsettling?
Well, if I told you that we had probably, I think, 3 TVs in our house, and there would be days and days and days that none of those TVs were ever turned on.
Uh-huh.
Like my husband looks at the news in the morning, and and of course, we have our social media stuff we like to do, but we really don't do a lot of like just sitting around. I still haven't gotten through the 5th season of Yellowstone. I think we're still like on the 2nd episode. We don't sit down long enough to like watch a movie or or get into a TV show. we haven't been that way for a number of years.
Yeah.
So that part I wouldn't say has changed as much. I mean, it took us 3 nights to watch one movie because by the time we're like, oh, we have a TV, we could watch a movie. And then it's like, I'm tired.
Maybe you made that transition earlier in life. I feel like since having surgery for me, that's been a newer transition. Of before, I would just like sit and watch TV all day. Like, not like when I was working and stuff, but like if I was like home, on a weekend or something, that's like all I did. And it's not like I really enjoyed it. It's not like I hated it. It was like, that's just what I did. And it was, again, kind of that victim mentality of like, oh, this is all I can do. This is all I'm worthy of doing. And it's interesting, after surgery, I noticed that my screen time just naturally has gotten less and less as the time goes on. I don't crave doing that very often, especially like with my work, it's a lot of screens and being connected, virtually on a lot of things, that by the end of the day, like that's kind of the last thing that I want to do. I just think the way that you're living is just really, really cool. And I'm dreaming about what that could look like, even if it's just for a season. That would be really cool.
When we said we wanted to do this, I don't think that I realized what this was. And I guess I thought, we're just going to do the same thing we've been doing. We'll just do it in a smaller place and we'll be able to move that place. When we left Mississippi and we had started living in the RV, we put up a power pole, we've got water and all of that, and started doing all of that before we left. I guess I just thought it was going to be kind of the same life, just slightly different. And it was slightly different when we were at home still, because I was still going to the same job and still going to the same gym, still had the same friends that I was hanging out with. But once we hit the road, one of the things that we wanted to do was to see some different places. And so like we stopped at Mount Rushmore and we went to Deadwood and to Al Drugs and some, like some little places like that, and did kind of little touristy things. And then when we got up here and finally were able to get settled, I mean, we've been in the same place since the 1st of May. And I'm like, well, I'm really comfortable here, but we can't stay because there's going to be snow on the ground soon. They'll turn off all the water and drain all the lines, and and
then you gotta go.
You got to go. You're not going to have any water. You're not going. You're going to be snowed in.
Yeah.
So we'll, that's why we're planning this next trip. We're going to have an adventure and try to do some fun things and see some places that, at least I haven't been. My husband grew up a good bit of his life in Seattle, so he probably has seen some more of that than I have. But we're gonna make the trip fun on the way down. We've got a couple of weeks to do it in, and then we'll get settled down there, and it'll be completely different. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, are we gonna be able to hike still, or am I gonna, like, I gotta find a gym if I'm gonna work. How is this new next couple of months going to be? And so that part's kind of fun because you don't really know. I mean, you've got an idea, but you don't really know what it's going to be like until you're there and live in it.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be great to be in Arizona. Like, so you'll be there like fall, winter is kind of the plan, or?
Yeah, we start November 2nd and we'll be there November, December, January, February, March.
Oh, that'll be great. It's a lot drier there. That's something to be aware of.
I can't believe that it's going to be drier than it is here. Like,
yeah.
This has been an eye-opener for...
Well, yeah, going from Mississippi, right? Is that what you said? Mississippi to that?
South Mississippi. So we were like an hour from the coast.
So this is like your training wheels of dryness. And then when you get to Arizona, you're going to be like, I don't know if you ever watched SpongeBob, maybe with your kids, but like when he goes out of water and he's just like a dry sponge, that's what it'll be like in Arizona. But get a humidifier. That would probably help, just to have.
I have a humidifier. And the problem that we had when we've tried to use it here is moisture is not a good thing with an RV.
Oh, makes sense.
And most people have dehumidifiers to keep the moisture off. So really haven't used it in several months. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I mean, I use a lot of moisturizer,
Drink a lot of water.
drink a lot of water. Um, yeah.
But also something just for people to keep in mind if they're going to a desert climate. If you're on any medication, and I'm not a doctor, this is just like anecdotal, like obviously check with your doctor, but I guess like depending, I can't remember if it's for blood, I think it's blood pressure medication, that because you end up drinking more water in less humid places, sometimes you have to get medication adjustments, like because like you flush it out quicker or something. I can't remember if that was like for blood pressure or maybe cholesterol, something like that. So anyway, just a friendly reminder, if you go to a new climate in general, it's probably good to establish with a provider in that area, because they know and they're used to working with patients who are coming
Right.
from areas.
Yeah.
But
That's not anything I would have thought of.
me neither, until he had said
Um,
that. I was like, huh.
I did know with the altitude,
Mm-hmm.
and for example, like trying to, to cook things, it is different with the altitude, because we're like 200, I think 200 feet above sea level in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And then here it's, I don't know, 2000 and something. And everybody's like, oh, it won't affect cooking, but it does.
Oh yeah, especially baking. Baking is a big one that the altitude will affect.
Right.
Yeah. Well, what do you think has been like? So I like doing this thing called Sparkle and Farkle. Have you heard me do that at all?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, I've made the guys on the waiting table do it a time or two. But essentially, Sparkle is like the best part, and then Farkle is like kind of the worst part. So, like in this journey and experience, what do you feel like has been your biggest Sparkle and Farkle?
The biggest sparkle, I think it's probably that, like, I consider myself, and a lot of people think this is weird, an extroverted introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be alone, and I need to recharge. But I think that one of the things that I've done is I've gotten out and I've met people and I've talked to people that I probably wouldn't have normally have done. I probably would have just like gone inside the RV and closed the door. But there's not a lot of room to go go in here and be in here all the time. So I've gotten out. I've gotten to know new people and done things with people that I wouldn't normally do. I would be like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll see you at 7, and then at 6:30 I'd be like, oh, something came up. I can't.
But when
So
they're next door, like looking at you, like just see, they're like, she's in there. Why did she cancel on us? Like there's like more accountability almost.
Yeah, you are surrounded in this community. It's not like you're going to go off down the road and go to your house, and no, you're in the middle of it. Everybody knows your business. One of my friends, I was sneaking into the front of the restaurant to get this, of all things, coffee, because if you know me, I don't drink coffee. And I went to get some coffee this morning because I'm like, I cannot stay awake. And I'm trying to sneak out, and I hear this, and I'm like, crap, I've been busted. And I ended up like talking to her for an hour, and I was like, I have to go. So that being, I guess, getting out, meeting more people, I've found that within myself, that I'm able to do that.
Are you enjoying this podcast? I hope you are. If you want to watch this podcast ad-free, see behind-the-scenes footage, get discounts, and be part of a supportive community, join my Patreon. Memberships start at only $2 a month. Visit stan.store/growwithshea to sign up today. I'm excited to see you over there.
Let's see, what would be my Farkle? I don't know. I've just loved this so much, maybe, I guess, I don't know if this counts, just not being there. Like, I had a friend whose mother just passed away last week, and I can't be there for her, so being there for my friends in Hattiesburg, I can't. I guess that would be the worst of it. Is I miss them. One of my neighbors that we also worked together got chickens, and And she sends me videos, and I'm like, I just want to go over and see your chickens.
Yeah.
And I can't go like hang out with them, do goofy things with my friends. I miss that, and like having people come over and have a crawfish boil, and I miss that kind of stuff. So that's probably, I guess, the worst of this is that you miss your friends and you can't be there with them, or when they need you or you need them. But then on the other hand, the good thing is that you get to meet all these new people and you get to have new experiences and
Yeah.
and
Unity
yeah,
in sort of a different way.
right.
Mhm.
I don't know if that counts, but
Totally. It counts because you said it does. That's my feeling. That's so cool. Well, one other question I like to ask everybody, just because I think it's so interesting. If you, Marye, were to look at yourself at whatever like little kid age stands out to you, maybe it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever stands out, and you were to look at Marye at that age right now, what's the one thing that you would tell her?
don't let other people tell you who you are. Just be yourself. No matter how goofy or, and silly and broken and whatever, just to be yourself.
I love it. I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong with this, I feel like little kid Marye would be so in awe and just impressed and excited about like 56-year-old Marye right now. Do you agree?
I think she would totally be impressed with 56-year-old Marye. She'd probably look back at some of, my other, and she would be not as impressed. Now, I mean, my 50s have been like my decade. I mean, this is,
Yes.
yeah, this is awesome. I'm like finally, kind of coming into my own. I always joke around that I was a late bloomer. And so when I guess all these people are in their 20s and 30s and they're coming into themselves, and I mean, I did that then too, but now it's so much better. I mean, it's just a better version of Marye,
Yeah. Well, I think it's not that you were a late bloomer or that maybe you were on a different timeline than what you were taught to be or what society said, but it's like the fact that you're in your 50s, you're still learning and growing. It's like, man, that's like all I could ever hope and want for with my life. For so long, I was so particular about certain things I wanted to achieve or have or do. And it's like, this last year, one of the biggest things it's taught me is like, I would have never chosen a lot of this stuff specifically that's like happened or that I've gone through. And I'm so glad to be here. And I think like when I come to what that root is, it's like, well, it's because I'm learning and I'm growing, I'm changing. I'm not the same person I was. And tomorrow I'm not going to be the same person I am today. And that's like what you're living and you're doing is like, sure, maybe making mistakes along the way, but that's part of learning and growing. And it's like, I think that's so beautiful and vibrant and just so freaking cool. I don't know what more I could ask for myself. Looking at where you're at 50, it's like, man, if I'm at that place, maybe not, that specific experience, even though I wouldn't mind it, it sounds freaking rad, but just to be learning and growing and learning who I am at 50 compared to 28, you've made it. Like, that's so freaking cool.
I hope so.
No, I want you to say, I
I
know so. Say, I'm freaking rad.
I mean, I am pretty damn cool.
I know. It's true.
One of the things to me that's really cool is that, like, I mean, almost every day, but at least once a week, I have somebody like go, "Oh my God, I love your hair," and it will be the person you least suspect, like a 70-year-old grandma. I had an old dude walk up to me and go, "I just want you to know that your hair is really cool." Like an old, and today I had somebody say that, and I'm like, the people that were like, "Oh, you don't need to color your hair." Fuck them. I mean, everybody else likes it. I like it. Guess you lose. You're wrong. You don't have to be this way. You can be however you want to be.
I love it.
People are going to love you regardless. I mean, probably more if you're
Yeah.
yourself.
I'm going to practice with you, Marye. I told you because I grew up super religious, I have a hard time cussing because it was just like trained in me like not to. So I'm going to practice right now. I'm going to say, yeah, the words of Mary, fuck them.
There you
Does that
go.
sound legit? Did I sound like
Yeah, you because you put a little
yeah.
in it. You gotta like
Okay.
fuck them.
Fuck
You
them.
know.
I got to practice
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's so true though. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's cool that maybe, we didn't have a lot of people growing up to foster like who we really were created to be. And we can be those people for ourselves now and for other people. And I think that's so cool. I'm going to come home with like purple hair and I'm going to be telling my husband, hey, we're going to just like go around the country and like we're selling our house. And he's going to be like, oh my gosh, who have you been talking to? What's going on? And I'm going to be like, Mary told me to fuck them. So that's what I'm doing.
There you go. Yep. You never know.
I love it. Hey, I never say never anymore for sure.
One of the things though in this whole traveling is that I do want to meet all these people that I've met. I did get to meet one person when I was in Calgary last week, which was really cool. And I'm not going to get to go to the awards because we're going to be in the middle of wrapping stuff up here. But I mean, somehow or another, I've got to meet you. We're going to figure this out.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we
but
will.
I figure if I'm traveling around the country, I should get to meet these people that I'm friends with.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, how can people find you so that way they can keep up on your adventures? And then if they see, hey, she's going to be passing through here to reach out, what's the best way that people can find you?
Well, so my bariatric Instagram is Marye in Motion, and there's an underscore between Marye and N. So Marye_in_motion. And then we also have a TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm also putting it on Instagram. Our Winnebago, we named her Winona Ryder. WINNONA, Winona RIDER, Ryder. And I have a friend who is making me, I don't know if you can see this.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. She's making, we're going to put them, we're going to scrape off where it says Winnebago on the front and the back, and we're going to put Winona Ryder on it. Yeah, so if you see a little Winnebago view coming down the road and it's got Winona Ryder on it, you'll know it's me. We have a TikTok, and I mean, a lot of what's been on there this summer have been our hikes and stuff. But when we venture out from here, we'll definitely be, putting up some more traveling material and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my goal for this upcoming year is I really want to have more in-person experiences, like offer that more to not just the bariatric community. I really want to make it more inclusive. I feel more of a pull for like women, but I'm not like closed off to that. But so my point in saying that, I'm co-hosting my first wellness retreat in Southern Oregon, October 20th to the 22nd of 2023. So those that are listening that might be interested, that's going to be an opportunity to have more of an in-person experience. But I hope that this is just the kickoff of more to come in 2024. So now that I know you're mobile and maybe closer to the West Coast, maybe there will be an opportunity for you to come to one.
You never know. And we don't even know, like we're talking like we're already making plans for where are we going to be next summer, and of course we'll be back, not necessarily here, although I really like it here, but maybe just to do different, since we're not going to be doing this for 30 years, somewhere up north, somewhere. It could be Oregon. We looked at several places in Oregon. So,
yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, I would recommend Southern Oregon. Bend is such a cool place to like experience so many cool hiking places and things to do there. That's more of like the desert part of Oregon. But then even the coast is so beautiful too. I mean, you'll get to go see it, but yeah, Oregon is such a cool place. That's been another one of my goals, is just to explore more locally here, because it's like it's just beautiful here. So anytime you're in town and want to go for a hike, I'll take you on one of my favorite hikes, and that would be super fun.
Well, if I will look at our itinerary, and I'm going to get back to you and let you know when we'll be over and how close we'll be and all of that.
That's good. I love it. That's so fun and exciting. Anything that you want to leave like our friends that are listening with? Any words of wisdom? Anything else that's kind of on your heart and mind?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to be able to do this for myself. So I want other people to be able to do that. It's just, be who you want to be, experiment. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. You can try again, or maybe you figured out it's not what you wanted. I wouldn't say go buy a Winnebago and sell everything. You might want to like rent a camper for a weekend and see what it's like before you take off. And we had done that. We were big campers when we were younger, when the kids were younger. Yeah. So, I mean, just if it's something you think you want to do, try it. It doesn't have to be permanent. And if it doesn't work out, then try something else. It's okay. And you don't have to like do it when you're young. And it's almost like it's acceptable to make the mistake when you're young, but you can't do that when you're 50 years old.
And speaking for being younger, I feel like I had a lot of the pressure too. It's like society's not happy with anything you do, really. You can't make mistakes when you're young. You can't make mistakes when you're old. You just have to like do what you're told. I'm going to say it again, Marye. Fuck that. It's like, do what you want to do. And you're doing it. Like, I just hope that you see that and you can just really take in how amazing that is. That's so cool.
I'm going to try to embrace it. So Chris did this thing with the lease where, I don't know if you saw it, where they were spinning around.
Yes.
Okay. So he challenged me to do that.
You should
and I was
do
like,
it.
I know. And I'm like, it has been on my mind. He has planted the seed. And I was just like, oh, I can't do that because we'll fall or it'll be goofy. So that's going to be my goal. And Chris thought it would be particularly funny if we did it inside the RV where there's no room to move. So maybe I'll post that. Maybe that'll be my being goofy and being real kind of thing.
I love it. I'm here for it. I love when other people like post funny things like that. It makes me happy. Not that that's a reason to do it, but just know I will give it a like and I will love it. So
well, yeah. So doing a cartwheel, Chris did that one. So then I did a handstand, and it's been a while since I've done that. And then you saw me jump off the bridge.
Yes, that was insane. So
that was
cool.
So out of my comfort zone.
Yes, I love it. Well, see, you jumped off a bridge. Like, you can do a kissy, spinny video. That's like easy.
That's right. I can do it. I can do it.
You can do it. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you.
Maybe I'll do it with the cat.
Oh, there you go. Oh gosh, they'll end up in a brawl at the end of that for sure.
Yeah, she's been hanging out over here. So
look, she's like a little black jaguar.
She is. Well, she's a chubby black jaguar.
Well, it's good to know that they've been well fed and that camper life hasn't impacted them negatively.
Oh, I don't think so. I think they're more than happy to lounge around and eat all day.
I love it. Well, thank you for being on.